In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how you can take the custom trip trees mod and merge it into your own mod. So if you go to the mod DB page and go to the downloads section, you can see this custom trip trees merging kit. So you want to go into that and get it downloaded. Now I've already got it downloaded myself, so we'll just minimize that. So as you can see, I've got here the native module system, and I've got the custom trip trees merging kit. So in the demonstration, I'm going to show how to merge it basically into native. Now, of course, if you've got your own mod, you can follow the same instructions to merge it into yours. So at the moment, I've just got native in my modules. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add another module. I don't want to overwrite what's already in here, but I want to sort of keep this as a backup, so we'll copy and paste and just make an additional module here, and we'll call this native with custom trip trees. And we'll want to do the same thing with the source code here. We don't want to mess this up, we want to still have this as a backup, so I'll copy and paste, and I'll just copy that and add that in the name there, and we'll call that native with custom trip trees source. So the very first thing we have to do before we even get into merging, just open up this source code here, which so far is basically just the native source code, and we want to go into module info and make sure we've got the correct directory set up. So I'm going to go back into here, copy that, make sure that's all correct, and then we'll just close this. So now we'll just test to make sure that that all works correctly. So we'll go up here and we'll hit build module, and we'll just wait a bit for that, it'll take its time. And there we have it, build successfully, no problems. So everything is good to start out with. Now let's work on actually doing the merging. So the first thing I'm going to do is open up the merging kit. So we'll just extract all of these folders here to the desktop, or you can extract them to whatever folder you like. Then we'll close that. The first thing I would like to add is this. And I'll just give a disclaimer, this isn't created by me. Actually, nothing here is made by me except for what's in this folder here. So this is all made by other very talented people. If we open this up, there's this folder here, copy and forget. We want to go into that. And we just want to drag and drop these into our source folder. So I'll just copy those there. And this is just an enhanced compiler, exactly as it says. Instead of using build module, we can use compile instead. And you can see it's nice and color-coded, and you'll see more in a second. Now we get all this. Now we have not changed any of the code here, it's the same native code, but you can see we're getting errors, whereas before we didn't. This is because this enhanced compiler actually is able to pick up certain errors that the normal build module does not. Now they're not a particularly big deal, they don't really seem to have much of an impact. You know, we've got a try end operation missing in a certain script, and we've got a local variable that apparently has been used even though it's unassigned. If you want, you can go into the code and fix these up. If you don't, you can just leave them be, it's up to you. We've also got these, duplicate strings and items, not a particularly big deal. And these I would not worry about. Now, when you add this enhanced compiler kit, with your own mod, it's possible that it works successfully with build module, but then when you do this, maybe compilation will fail. This is something I have seen happen. I think with the diplomacy source, for example, it works fine with build module. Try to run it through this compiler, and for some reason you get compilation fail and errors that don't really make a lot of sense. If you get that kind of problem and it's looking like too much hassle to try and fix it up, maybe you can just stick with build module, but I would recommend trying to get this to work because it is a much better compiler. It won't spit out a million lines of errors if one thing goes wrong. It gives you, nice succinct error messages. It'll just give you one message for one problem. But ultimately, that's up to you. This is sort of optional. So we'll close this. Now that we've got that compiler added in, which again you don't necessarily need, we want to get the Warband script enhancer added. Now the Warband script enhancer is required for this mod. It provides some sort of additional functionality on top of what you've got normally. It's meant to fix up some bugs in the game engine, and in the module files it actually allows you to have sort of extra operations that aren't normally there. And I make use of some of those operations, so it is needed. So what we're going to do, we're going to go back into our modules folder here, and we're going to add this straight into here. Now you have to have the WSC folder in your modules folder as if it was another mod, though it isn't actually. And then when you launch the game, if you want to play a mod that has WSE, you can't use the normal launcher down here. Instead, you have to go into the WSC folder and use this file here. So what I like to do is I just have that pinned to my taskbar, or you can just add it onto your desktop, whatever you prefer. Now you'll see if you click on that, you get a prompt, you say yes, and then it just goes to the normal launcher. So nothing complicated here, it's pretty straightforward. You just got to make sure that instead of this icon, you click on this icon. So we'll cancel that now, we don't want to play the game at the moment. So that was pretty straightforward, just add the folder, use a different icon, but then there are some additional changes that need to be made to your source code. So here we've got the Warband Script Enhancer Software Development Kit, and you can see you've got these add-on files. Now it's basically saying go into your source and grab header_common.py and add on all of the stuff in here into that file, and do the same for all these. Now to make this a bit simpler, if you are just using the sort of native version of these files, if you haven't made any changes to them whatsoever, then what you can do is you can just go into this folder, Warband Script Enhancer Compatible Files, and just copy those over. Now if you have made changes to some of these files and you need those changes, so you can't just replace with a different file and overwrite them, then you'll just have to go in manually, open that up, copy everything in it, and then paste it at the end of the files. But what we're going to do in the demonstration is we're just going to copy these and just paste them in and replace. Now the module ini file here, this one does not go into the source code, this goes into here. So we want to copy and paste that into there, overwrite that. If you've made your own changes to module ini, then just take what's in the module ini add-on file and add that into there. So that'll do for that. These other ones need to be added here into our source folder. So we'll replace all of these. Now we've made this compatible with the Warband Script Enhancer. And just to make sure nothing's broken, we'll compile again and just check that we get the same output. So here we go, scroll up, compilation is still successful, we got the same errors we had before, nothing new added, so everything's good. Now we can close this. So now we've got Warband Script Enhancer working. What we need to do is add mod merger. So we'll open our mod merger folder and we want to add everything here. You don't necessarily need the README into our folder. So we've got all these mod merger files, and then we need to install mod merger with this one. So double click mod merger installer. Option number 1 is what we want, install mod merger in the current directory. So hit enter. Do we want to do this? Yes, we want to install it. So it goes through and brands all of your module files. Now, don't worry, this isn't going to cause any problems with them. all it does is go through each file and add a little bit of code at the very end, which is needed in order to get merging set up. So what I like to do after this is I like to use this 3 option, delete all backup files, because to me it's just unnecessary clutter. Now you can keep them just to be on the safe side, but really that's why I've still got this backup here. You know, I'm not too worried about deleting them all here. So 3, do you want to delete all the files with that? Yes, I do. Get rid of them, thank you. And then 0 to exit. So now we've branded all our module files. And to show you what that sort of means, let's open up module scripts. And if we go to the very bottom, it's just added this at the very end. And this, you might not understand it, that's okay. It basically just says go through some certain external files and merge what's in there into what's in here. So we'll close this now. Now that Mod Merger is set up, we need to add the stuff that we actually want to be merged in. So this is where we get to the good part, custom troop trees files. This is where all of our custom troop trees functionality is going to be added in from. So we'll take all of these files, again you don't need the readme, and just add that into there. So just copy it all in. So will this work now? Well, not quite. First we have to go down to Mod Merger Options and edit that. Now see how it says here mods active. Let's just delete these example ones here. These files all start with CSTM, and you can notice that that's where normally module would be, so you'd have module constants, module dialogues, module factions. Instead we've got this prefix. Now to let Mod Merger know that it should merge these files in, we need to add this into this list, mods active. So if we save that, it'll go through the list here. In this case we just have the one element. It'll take this string and it'll say, okay, I'm going to look for files that start with that. And so it's going to come through and it's going to find all of these, and then it's going to merge them into the appropriate module files. So it'll merge what's in CSTM constants into module constants, and this into module dialogues, and that into module factions, so on and so forth. So you don't actually have to make any changes to your module files. You can keep them exactly as they are. If you just drag and drop these files in, and you make sure you've got this prefix in mods active, it'll automatically add all that in when you compile. So just to test that this is all working and nothing's broken, we hit compile, and this is where you really want to hope you don't get any errors that prevent compiling. Compilation successful, same things we had before. You might actually notice that there are less warnings now, because as a matter of fact, in my CSTM strings file, I've actually got some code in there that basically eliminates any duplicate entries. So before we had a lot of duplicate entity found and then it was strings, and we've gotten rid of all those. Still got the items because, you know, I don't even have an items file, so nothing's being done there. We still had these 2 errors here. We still had these down here, so no additional errors are added. Compilation is successful, we're all good to go. So at this point, you just need to go in and test. So let's open up the mod and see what happens. Remember to use the Warband Script Enhancer Loader, don't use the normal icon. And we'll play. Now I've gone ahead and started up a new game. And what we're going to do, if we go into the camp menu, you can see it's just the usual options, nothing much more going on there. I'm going to turn on the cheat menu, and this gives you some extra options, and I've added my own additional option that's only on if you activate the cheat menu, and that's to just instantly become king. So this lets you very quickly get in and test that this is working. So we'll click that and boom, we're into that whole process. So continue, And now this is where the mod's functionality comes in. If it's worked, you should get this screen. And here's where you can choose what type of troop tree you want. You can choose whether you want to have male troops or female troops. If you're using a mod that has other skins where you've got different races, you know, there are mods where you can have sort of elves and dwarves and other things like that. You could have those options. Here, let's say we're just going to pick to have female troops. And out of these options, we'll go for the troop tree that's got 3 branches, though they can't go to those higher tiers. They only get up to tier 5. That's fine. Let's pick that one. Continue. Then you have the normal thing. Name your kingdom. Yeah, don't worry. Not worried about that. And one last thing before I get rid of the cheat menu, because it gives you all these annoying debug messages, we'll go back into camp, and now we've got an additional option to get the custom troops. So this will just add some to your party, so we'll just click that a few times. Now I'm going to turn off the cheat menu because it's annoying. And here you go. Now the names are not very inventive, but you can set your own names, so that won't be a problem. If you want default names that are better, you can go in and change that in those CSTM files. For this one, you'll actually want to go to customtrooptrees.py. That's where you get to set all that. So if you go into camp menu again, we've got the customize your kingdom's troop tree option, and this is where you get to set everything. So we can rename the recruit to, well, I don't have any good ideas, whatever the hell you like. I think recruit's fine. We can add some armor. So we don't want her running around in a bikini. Let's get a leather jacket going there. Get her one of those. Give her some boots to wear. We can change her stats. So we've got a few attribute points to give out and 1 skill point and some weapon points. So let's get her some strength. Let's give her power strike and get some one-handed proficiency going on here. So that'll do. And then let's go in and give her weapons. And we'll give her a falchion, or however the hell you pronounce that, I don't know. And we'll give her a shield while we're at it. And this will do. Let's save this one. So done. And you don't have to go through and add stuff to all the other ones. All the ones that she upgrades into will automatically get that to start out with. Now that we've saved changes to the recruit, if we go to the next one up, which is A2 or B2, these ones now have the options to have all their stuff set. If you went higher than that, it says you've got to make changes to the previous troop before you can start making more modifications. So you can go through and set up your troop tree however you like. You can have an infantry branch and an archer branch and a cavalry branch, or you can do whatever the heck you like. So now if we go into our party, you can see that all those changes have been made. If we go and talk to her and say, tell me about yourself, now we see that, yep, she's got power strike, she's got 9 strength, she's got 61 handed proficiency, everything's been added on. And that's about it. Now you can go ahead and set all of those troops and you can take them into battle. One other thing I guess I'll show, if you go into the city here, go to the castle, we've now got them guarding the castle. And if you were to go take a walk through the streets, you could also see that we've got them all around there. I'm running pretty fast because I've given myself 1000 agility. And if we were to go recruit at the villages, I think if you try initially, it's still going to be the Swadian ones because it takes time to actually update. So we'll just ignore that for now. Let's just go back here and just wait for some time. And eventually, voila! Now we have our custom recruits. So we can recruit them. Now you've got 13 where previously there was 6. And there you have it, the custom troop trees mod.